We will be studying the book of Joel, the final part, third part, and from the next week onward, different people will be taking three books to study for the next week. Obadiah, Jonah, and Micah. Okay, so those books somebody will be taking from our list. That will help us to prepare for the study. I wanted to finish it desperately today so that we don't improve into that study and the time that is required for us to do a proper study of those three books. We had taken a look. Let me get it prepared. Not coming enough fire and okay, we had seen in the beginning of the study, okay, about the book of Joel, that Joel used similes. Okay, he made comparisons because he was seeing things which he could not understand or describe using words because he was not belonging to that age. Okay, so he compared it with locust, and that is the way in which, okay, and the use as a comparison to denote numbers, to denote the devastation that has done a locust attack here, and so on and so forth. Okay, so one of the principles that we are also learning is that when we study prophecies, there are other things that we must keep in mind, not just interpret everything literally. Okay, for instance, if you are studying the book of Acts, almost everything is literal interpretation. Okay, Paul visited some place. He mentions he visited that place. If Acts, that is the author of Luke, if he used the word we, that means he was in the town with Paul. If he says they, then Luke was not with them. So it's a very literal type of interpretation that could be used when you study narratives. Okay, prophetic content is not narrative. Okay, it is prophecies related to either their time or future time. So a lot of input you should have on what those times were so that you have a good understanding. And also what he is writing about. I mean, on figures of speech, comparisons, contrasts, and other things that he is using so that you can understand the contents deeply. Okay. So we saw in the first day itself that in their memory of the locust invasion, which had devastated their country, and also a devastation by an army, both of which had left them in ruins. Okay, and then he looked forward to a time when big wars will devastate his nation, even more serious damage will take place. Okay, then I think last Sunday we studied on chapter 2, some of the portions related to the descriptions that he uses, which is very indicative, though sometimes he refers to the word locust, but he is referring to something more than locust, to weapons of war that are there in our time. Okay. But in the book of Joel, apart from the war that we looked back at, in chapter 1, there are two major wars that are active. In chapter 2, there is one major war. In chapter 3, there is another major war. I'll just introduce it and then we will look at the slides. Okay. Whenever an event is prophesied, you try to find out when that event will take place. Okay. You will come to know by looking at what happens after that incident is described in the prophecy or what happens before. In both these wars, what follows is the restoration of the nation of Israel. When you read it, it's very obvious it's talking about the millennium. Okay, when Israel is restored, there will be prosperity, there will be unity, there will be belief in the true and living God as never before in the history of Israel. Okay, and God will be in their midst, and He will be the one who is taking care of them. Okay, so both the wars that are described in the book of Joel happen around the same time during the tribulation. Okay, and following which is the splendor that comes into the nation of Israel, the peace, the prosperity, the faith in God, and justice going out from that nation, everything, all those things come in very clearly. Okay, so we'll have a look at the two words. Why should we be looking at something when which is going to take place in the tribulation? Okay, why should we study? Will be here. Yes, will be here. No, sure. You won't be here. But why should we be studying it then? We are not going to be curiosity. Huh? Curiosity. Okay, curiosity once. But we can see the live drama. Even we might have wrong interpretations now. But at that time we will be able to see it from heaven's perspective as it is happening. Right? So, but why should you know now? Otherwise, the Bible study will be useless. We can warn people the dangers that are coming. See, you must treat Bible study seriously. God has written it so that people can take warning from it. And okay, for believers, even if they are not going to go through it, do you know whether your children will go through it? If they don't believe, they may have to go through it. How much of God's word teach them is very important. Okay, because even if they don't believe and they have to go through it, okay, I'm looking at the worst case scenario. They should be in a position to know what is going to happen and what precautions they should be taking or what they should be doing so that they don't fall into eternal damnation. You get it? So a Bible study like this, even with believing families together, is very serious. Okay? It is not something that we are doing just so that our head gets puffed up. No, Lord. Okay? So we'll go to the study. Okay, day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night. Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians, chapter 5, verse 2. Okay, it is going to be sudden. Let me just, yeah. Many of the preachers will say, the Lord will come as a. Do not right? Yeah. The day of the Lord will come as a thief. He will be as a. So that we are to read. Yeah. What I said is, the Lord will not come as a thief. It is not that. There was a but recently one preacher very recent. The day of the Lord will come as a thief. The day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. Okay? It is something that will happen suddenly. At that time, you won't get time to prepare. I just gave the scenario before. In a believing home, if there are 3 children or 2 children or 1 child, and that child doesn't know, that is not the time when you will be able to prepare. Because the rapture will take place, the believers will be gone, and those who will be left behind will be facing whatever is taking place. So preparation can be done only now. Preparation for ourselves, preparation of our loved ones, okay? All those who are near and dear to us, preparation of them can be done only now. Because it will be very sudden and it will come on many or most of the population when they are not fully prepared for it. Okay? Joel chapter 2, verses 1 to 2, we have seen, blow the trumpet is coming, sound the alarm on my holy. Last Sunday, we have already seen that this refers to war alarm. Okay, because the devastation that is described is not the devastation of a locust attack because fire goes before them, devastation behind them, and fire behind them also is definitely not what a locust does. It doesn't set things on fire. Okay. And we have already seen those verses. So in part 2, we have studied that, so we will not go into the details. But this is talking about the war. Blow the trumpet in Zion, sound the alarm on my holy hill. Let all who live in the land tremble, for the day of the Lord is coming. It is close at hand. Actually, Peter is drawing from peace imagery, when he is writing about the Lord coming, Lord's coming, or the day of the Lord appearing, arriving as a thief in the night. A day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and darkness like dogs spreading across the mountains. A large and mighty army comes such as never was in ancient times, nor ever will be in ages to come. Okay, so we are looking at some of the things. Reason why we are looking at some of these things is to also see how near we are to those days. Okay, so that we take these things very seriously. Okay. In Joel 2:20, that is later on in the passage, it talks of, I will drive the northern host far from you. So this army for which an alert is issued is coming from the north. Okay, which north? Whose north? North of Israel. See, whenever directions are mentioned by the prophets of Israel, prophets of Judah, remember they are talking from their perspective. They are not thinking India ka north here. Then we may think China, no? But it's not India north, but north of their country. And we drive the northern whole far from you, pushing it into a parched and barren region. Its eastern lands will drown in the Dead Sea, and its western lands. We will read these verses in detail a little bit after we come. This is the who's going to destroy them? God. Okay, the Lord Jesus Christ. He himself will be destroying them. So there are these two big wars which are mentioned. Okay, they are all, both of them are massive. This one like a cloud. Another one we will be seeing another war from the north, also like a cloud. Okay, and the third, the judgment of nations, another war. Literally, this will be World War III. Okay, when it takes place, people will be able to look back and say, actually, this is World War. The other two are not World War at all because they were Jews. They spanned the last part of the earth, but this covers the entire earth. Okay, it is part of something that God is judging the nation. So every nation will be picking up arm and coming, and the battlefield will be. Okay, so it's a very dangerous time for the believers who people who are born again in that country and in other countries, because almost every other country will be recruiting any person who can fight to be on the roll of the army. So it's not going to be easy at that time for anyone. And its tense will go up, its smell will rise. Okay, that's 12 to 20. Who is this king of the north? Two candidates are mentioned in the Bible. Two empires which come from the north of the nation of Israel. Okay. Daniel chapter 10 and 11 describes the Antichrist. Okay. And Daniel 7 also has a description. Okay. This is the Greco-Roman Empire. Okay. Which had attacked and an Antichrist arising from it. When we look at this and the spaces that are mentioned for these kingdoms, we must be careful in our interpretation. Okay. Because these empires spread over Palestine. So whoever is the Antichrist will be a descendant having some origins from the Greek Empire, having some lineage connecting it to Rome, but he may be present in the belt in which they ruled because they settled there and they bore children there and they mingled with their blood in that place. Okay? This is one of the northern boards that is mentioned. The next one is described in Ezekiel 38 and 39, the Gog Magog war. Okay? We will see a little bit of the details Though this is not mentioned, but it is part of the second war that is mentioned in chapter 3. Okay. There's a picture. What is that? Locust, grasshopper, whatever you may say. Grasshopper, the locust actually. Okay. There is an interesting translation of the Bible. Okay, the Septuagint. 70 scholars translated the Hebrew Old Testament into Greek, which was the spoken language when our Lord came. Okay, so LXX dollar to 70, that is the Latin for 70. Okay, so 70 scholars that translated it. It was the Greek that was used. That is why the New Testament quotation, whether it was Luke or Mark or the book of Hebrews, when they refer to the Old Testament, they actually quote from the Septuagint version. There was another translation, Masoretic text, which came up in AD 700. Okay, this was 200 BC, 200 BC. Okay, this before Christ. That was 600. That is the basis on which most of our English Bibles were translated. What was the Greek translation done? The Hebrew translation that was done in 600 AD. Okay, so there is some differences are there. This is quoted. So if you read this verse in your Bible, it will be different. I have picked it from that because it speaks of a thing that is connected to this. Thus the Lord showed me and behold a swarm of locusts coming early, and behold one locust got the king. Okay, that is how the LXX puts it. Daniel's king of the north. Okay, so this pointer won't work on the TV, so you can just have a look at it. Daniel 10 and 11. Daniel is transported to the banks of which river? Tigris River. Okay. There are two big rivers passing through Iraq. One is Euphrates, lower side. You know, there are two lines crossing it in the middle. The lower one is Euphrates, the upper one is Tigris. Okay. These made that region very fertile. Okay. And Tigris starts in Turkey, but at the end, border of Syria, so it comes through Syria into Iraq. Okay, same way, Euphrates also flows through these areas. Daniel is transported to the banks of the Tigris River. So he was in that place when he received, he was transported to that place in that vision. Okay, the time is mentioned as the third year of King Cyrus the First. Okay, Iraq is what is today, descended from the Babylonians. Their kingdom was already gone. At that time, Iran and what is shown here, and a large part of Palestine was part of the Persian Empire. Okay. But the location where we prophesying is from where the vision took in was Cyprus. Okay, but the Persian Empire was there. But at that time it was a unified empire. I am taking it in the map today so that you get to see, understand it in our perspective. Because if you say Persia, you will not know where Tigris is. The angel gave him a panoramic view of Jewish history and many wars that they will go through. Message was primarily about a burdensome and great war. Daniel chapter 10 verse 1. Okay. A series of wars are described, but Daniel was told that it is about one war. Even though many wars are described in Daniel 10 and 11, but only one war will be prominent. And that is precisely the war which Joel is looking at. Okay. Key events in the Persian rule and subsequent domination of Greece are highlighted. If you read Daniel chapter 11, verses 2 and 4, very clear. It's not like horoscopes. No? So many people look at what your stars forecast. They look for signs and the stars, the planets, and what they try to see. And their prophets tell for like maybe it is like this, maybe it is like that. But Bible is not like that. It is very sure. He talks about the Persian rule. 3 kings will come after you, and the 4th one will be great. Okay, he was talking about Darius. If you look at history, if you look at the Bible, you will know that everything came through the way it is stated by the Hebrew prophets. Okay, he talked about the Persian rule. Then he talks about a king from Greece who will be very famous and his conquest will be far, and then when he dies, his descendants will not be the ruler. Okay? And it will be parceled off into four different kingdoms. Okay? He was talking about Alexander the Great, who conquered the Persian Empire, and his son didn't become because he was an infant, and four of his army generals actually divided Alexander's kingdom between themselves. Okay? So this is the four kingdoms that came up from that. There are two that we are more interested in. The blue one, the Ptolemaic Empire, which is mentioned, he is referred to in Daniel chapter 11 as King of South. Okay? And the yellow one, that is the Seleucid Empire, is referred to as the Northern King. Okay, you get it? That's how it would have looked in those days. North of Israel and south of Israel. Don't look at it from our position on the earth. Okay, this is how it was at that time. So those wars which are described in Daniel chapter 11, the king of South went and saw king of North came, they married, king of South gave a daughter there. All those things took place. 400 years of Jewish history is mentioned in that chapter. Accurately, if you read history, you will know that it actually happened that way. Who betrayed whom, everything is there. Names are not mentioned, but what took place at that time is mentioned very clearly. Okay. So I have quoted that Cliff Richard quote many times. The Bible reads like today's. Okay. So those who know the word of God, when those events are taking place, will know precisely where they are in that prophetic time. Okay, it is that clear for everyone. A series of conflicts take place. Okay, we saw that the Northern Empire covered what in today would include Turkey, Lebanon, Syria, Babylon, Persia, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and most of the Levant or the Middle East countries. That was the king of the north. Okay, and its capital was in Syria. Syrian Malabar Orthodox Church comes from this side. Okay, because actually Jewish influence has spread. The other king is in the south, that is Egypt. Its capital was Alexandria. It was another prominent place of Bible translation. Okay, so we must not, when we read the book of Jonah, very often we get the feeling that the Jews did nothing. No, not like that. The Bible has spread. In fact, some of the major Old Testament manuscripts that we have are from these two empires, which ruled. Okay, the Syriac manuscript and the Alexandrian manuscript. The Jewish history during the 400 years before the birth of Christ was created at once. Because there was going to be after Malachi 4, there was going to be 400 years of silence. But for the people, they could read their Bible like they were reading the newspaper of that day. Okay? Because as simple as that. Daniel films the future war. Even though historic war context is mentioned, the spotlight shifted to a great war in the future between these two kings, the north and the south. Okay? Taking place at what time? To appointed time. We have seen Prabhakar had taken a Bible study in which he talks about Chronos and Kairos. Chronos means sequential time. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, like that. And Kairos representing God's time, His appointed time, His planned day. Okay, so this spotlight is on that time which was determined by God. It will not happen just because the kings of the earth decide to fight. It is going to happen on the day which God has decided. Okay, the king is in action during the time described by Daniel as a time of distress as never before. So, what period of time it is talking about? It's talking about the tribulation period. Okay, if you read Daniel chapter 12 verse 1, it also talks about the angel, archangel Michael, your guardian, like protecting his people during that time. Okay. The war is significant to our study as the outcome will be different than what it was before. Understand? That all the other wars that were mentioned between the north and the south were one job. This war is different. Okay, this is taking place during the tribulation. Dominating the political space of the world is a ruler from the north whose heart will be, is mentioned in Daniel 11, 28 and 30, set against the holy covenant. This is very, very different. Others had craving for power, but this guy has animosity towards the things of God. Actually, literally, and he went this fury against it, his anger. It comes from inside it, that anger against the people of God and the things of God. This ruler will exalt, chapter 11, verse 36, and magnify himself above all other gods. He will utter unheard of things against the God of God. Which God is being talked of here? God of gods means the living God. Okay. He will dare to utter public statements with pride, with ego, with all this thing against the living and true God. Okay. He is the Antichrist. Okay. In Revelation 13, verses 5 to 7, the Apostle John mentions the same thing about the Antichrist. The beast, there he is referred to as the beast. Okay? The beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies. It opened its mouth to blaspheme God and to slander his name and his dwelling place and those who live in heaven. He was given power to unleash persecution against God. Okay. So under his rule, unleashed on earth will be persecution and constant speech. Every speech that he utters, it will be anti-God, anti-living God, and anti all other gods as well. Daniel calls our attention to his activity. The northern ruler sets the ball rolling. Okay, according to chapter 11, verse 29, he invades which country? Egypt. Because he is invading the king of the south. The northern ruler, the ships from the western coastline will oppose him. Whose western coastline? Israel. Okay. Why will Israel support Egypt? They have a treaty. 1978, they signed the treaty of peace. After 78, they have not been in war. Before that, so many wars they fought, but after that they have not fought. Okay. So that's what when you read the Bible, you hear the news and you put it in perspective, things will start standing. That will trigger the invasion of the Middle East by the Antichrist. This prompts him to vent his fury against the Holy Covenant. Okay. The Israeli support in this war against Egypt. He will show favor to those who forsake the Holy Covenant. He will show favor. Perhaps this is the time the peace treaty will be signed. Okay. By people in Israel who are forsaking the Holy Covenant. Okay. There are other people in Israel, not all are belonging to this category. He will desecrate the temple fortress, which is the army. Okay. Abolish daily sacrifices. That means by then the temple will be ready. The sacrifices will be offered and he will abolish it. Okay, that will be the agreement with them. And he will set up the abomination that in Matthew's Gospel, our Lord tells in one of the wings of the temple. The LXX or the Septuagint version also mentions in this particular verse that it will be in the wing of the temple. So the Masoretic does not mention that. Okay. He flatters those who violate the covenant. That means he will praise those Jews who are actually anti-God. Okay, anti their own covenant God. And but the people who know their God will forgive it. That is why I said Israel will not have only evil people. There will be believers, but there are times their difficulties will be manifold. You can read the book of Revelation, you will know how terrible those days will be as each event takes place after that. Okay? He will invest heavily in arms. That's what Daniel 11:38 to 39 says. He will invade and sweep through several countries as a cut. It will be rapid conquest of all many of the countries in the Middle East. Okay, he will deploy a huge army and a fleet of warships to accomplish that conquest. He will invade the beautiful land. What is the beautiful land? Israel. Okay, so that will set the pace for the wars that will be taking place in this nation. His rapid military success will give him control over many countries and their wealth, including Egypt, Libya, Sudan, and Ethiopia. These are mentioned in the current areas in which they are. Okay, who is this person? It is also corresponding to the first field. You know, when the seventh field judgment, the first field is broken and a rider comes on a white horse in the book of Revelation. Okay? Revelation chapter 6, verse 1 and 2. I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the seven seals. Then I heard one of the four living creatures say, come. I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow. He was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror went on conquest. So, this passage of Daniel would correspond to Daniel to Revelation chapter 6, verses 1 and 2. The conquest of Palestine by the Antichrist. Following him are the black horse, the red horse, and the pale horse. Okay? War followed by famine, death, okay, and price rise. Okay? His defeat is mentioned in the book of Daniel. We will be comparing this with what is mentioned in the book of Joel to get an understanding. Okay? Bible is one composite picture. You need to put. We are in a very privileged place where we are studying all the 12 parts. They all refer to these events extensively because it is a very crucial part of Jewish history. Okay? He will be alarmed by news of threats to his supremacy from the east and the north. He is the ruler from the north, but he has a threat from the north and from the east. Okay? And will wage war fiercely to destroy and annihilate many. Okay, we will see who these people are. If we are not able to finish today, we will go on to one more study. Okay, but we will do it properly so that you get a clear idea. Okay? So when Palestine is occupied by the Antichrist, he hears news of northern and eastern. Any idea who these people are? We have read it many times. Okay, anyway, let it come. He will set up his headquarters there between the seas at the beautiful holy mountain. What is the beautiful holy mountain? Yeah? Mount Zion, or in which the temple is there. Okay, all it is anyway adjacent to it. There is a valley, the Kidron Valley. See, as you, it is my suggestion. It is very interesting only if you take effort to study. You must keep a map in front of you. You must, if possible, buy a good Bible dictionary. If you read a word, you try to see what all happened in that place and you will understand the passage very beautifully. Okay. So, between the seas and the beautiful holy mountain, where is Jerusalem? I can't point with this. Yes, little below Jericho it should be. The Dead Sea is there, no? Blue color at the bottom. Top is Sea of Galilee and left is the Mediterranean Sea. So between the two seas, on the holy mountain, so very close to Jerusalem is it, or in Jerusalem itself will be his headquarters. Okay. Notice the place he sets up his headquarters and his end. He will come to his end and no one will help him. You can see the red arrow between the seas. Okay, and no one will help him. Why? Who's putting an end to him? Christ. Okay, he will be captured alive and thrown into the lake of fire along with the false prophet by according to Christ. Then we look at. Okay, so that 7 year reign will be complete for the Antichrist. Where he will set up his headquarters and operate his army is mentioned. Where his doom will take place will come in the book of Joel. Okay, but he and the false prophet are the only two people who will be actually thrown alive into the lake of fire. That is the eternal place for the guilt and damned of the world. Okay. Others who died will be resurrected, stand before the white throne judgment of the Lord, and then be thrown into the lake of fire. But these two are thrown directly by our Lord himself. That's their end. Okay. And it is the Lord. It's not Israel defeating the Antichrist. Should not even enter our head. Today, Israel is proud, right? It thinks it has a powerful army. When these wars are taking place, they will know how what a pittance they were, that they had nothing, in comparison to what power the rest wield against them. Okay, so now look at Joel. Joel chapter 2, verses 18 and 20. Then the Lord was jealous for his land and took pity on his people. When all those things are taking place in Israel, the devastation occupied by such a big army, who's taking pity? The Lord is taking pity. He is taking their side. Okay? Why is taking their side? Because there is a bunch of redeemed people who did not acknowledge the Antichrist. Okay? They resisted him. So the Lord will stand in support of those people. That verse is saying, I will drive the northern world. We read this in the beginning, no? Pushing it into a parched and barren land. Its eastern rank will drown in the where? The Dead Sea. That is the blue at the bottom. And its western rank into the Mediterranean Sea. Notice the place where this northern world is repeated. It's the same location where our Lord, where the Antichrist set up his headquarters. Okay, the Lord's coming literally displaces him, helter skelter. Half his army drowned in the Mediterranean and half in the Dead Sea. Bible will read like the newspaper on those days. Whatever the WhatsApp or whatever they keep getting, they will be getting these things live. Okay. Ezekiel also talks about the king of the north. Okay. Antichrist is alarmed by a northern power. Okay. And an eastern power. We look at both of these people. Fog of Magog. Okay. A chief prince. Okay. Before, older translations used to have Gog and Magog. Nowadays, almost all the newer translations will have Gog or Magog. Okay. The translation now implies that it is talking about a prince or ruler for that area. Okay. Ezekiel speaks of the invasion of Israel by another northern prince, Gog of the land of Magog, chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Where is this Meshach and Tubal? It is the entire region from Turkey to the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. North. Okay. The map you can have a look at it. So all these countries, Russia, Georgia, Ukraine, Turkey, all these countries belong to that period, area which is called as Gog Magog. Okay. Ezekiel identifies the allies of this Russian formation as Persia, okay, Petrogramma, Put, and yeah, those are the translations into modern dating. But in the Bible, their ancestral names only will be used. Okay. So if you don't connect it properly, the map of the world was not always like that. Egypt was not that size only. It kept changing in size. It conquered that became some. So I try to connect it with the nations which are there today. These nations are already aligned with Okay, and they are allied with Persia. It will take note of Israel according to chapter 13, verse 8 and 11, when it has been gathered from any nation and has to be covered from a war. Okay, living in safety in unwalled city. That's how Israel is today. Unwalled city, unprotected. Quran also talks about Gog Magog. The Yajuj and Majuj, you will find it will be Quran. The invasion takes place after many days in the future, according to chapter 39, verse 8 of Ezekiel. Okay. A huge army like a gathering storm, like a cloud covering the land in God. Okay. Now see that how big is Israel, from there. From Jerusalem to its northernmost part is like, or rather, the southern tip to the northern tip is like you start the journey at Baroda and go to Bombay. That's the next step. At its widest, at its narrowest point, it is only 10 kilometers. From my house to the 50 kilometers. At the narrowest point, you can cross it. So if you imagine like that, then you will remember it. At its widest, it may be like a little bit more, but that is how small this country is. Already one army like a cloud is there. Now what is coming? Like another cloud is coming and descending in the same place to plunder and do. Okay. Why should the Antichrist have everything? So everyone will come because there is oil in this area, wealth in this area, and everything. Everyone wants to come there. But who is bringing them here? I will turn you around and drag you along. Who's doing it? Okay. So the world is not a helpless victim of the dictator. Do not get that idea. Behind every historical action and what is happening in the current days is a sovereign God who runs the universe and runs the affairs of our world. Okay. It is his time, it is his appointed time to destroy what? The nation. Okay, so he is assembling all the nations that actually bothered the nation of Israel through history into that one small piece of land he is going to destroy them there. Okay, punish the nations there, punish the Israelites who don't follow Christ there, and he is going to keep the believers safe. It says Sheba, Dedan, and Tarshish, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and either Tunisia or Spain. They question the motives of the invaders. Have you gathered to loot and plunder? These are now note the names of some of the countries which are mentioned there. The purpose and time means I will bring you against my land so that the nations may know me when I am too holy through you before their eyes. God is bringing them there so that He will be proved holy before the eyes of the whole world. So the world has rejected Christ, but through the wars that are taking place there, God's holiness, God's name will stand out. Okay, that is His purpose. He will stand for Himself. He doesn't need His saints to defend Him. Okay, if we don't, He can do it Himself. If we don't do our part on the universe, it doesn't matter at all for Him. I will display my glory among the nations, and all the nations will see the punishment I inflict and the hand I lay on them. So people will see what happens to the sword that comes from the farthest north. There is another verse in Ezekiel 38 which says from the uttermost north, okay, to distinguish it from the other northern horde of the Antichrist, northern, western horde, the Roman, Greco-Roman Empire. Okay. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says, I will now restore the fortunes of Jacob. That's why I said to understand it, you have to look at what is happening immediately after that. What is happening? Restoration. Okay? And will have compassion on my people, and I will be zealous for my holiness. So it is also taking place in the tribulation, and it is following this is what? The beginning. Okay. Antichrist thrown into the lake of fire, followed by villainy. Okay, so all these battles are taking place at the same time. Missing countries in all these actions so far. Just have a look at it. Prominent among them are Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia. Okay. Camp David Accord, we saw. Abraham Accord, you have heard of that? Who was, read the newspaper. WhatsApp news will not come with these news. Trump administration not only declared Jerusalem as capital, recognized it, put its embassy there, but they also entered Israel, into a peace accord along with Saudi Arabia, Jordan, UAE, Bahrain, trade and peace accords are there. That is why Shiva and what is that? Dida, they all are having complete murder because they are not going to go on the offensive of their own. Oman and Qatar are getting ready. So those are the few countries in that area which were not mentioned in the previous thing. What how this army is destroyed because it is God. It is not Israel which is defending them. Understand it. In the tribulation, the hero is not the Antichrist. The hero is the God. Okay, and he is the one who is going to be the hero. Ezekiel 38:18 to 12. This is what will happen in that day when God attacks the land of Israel by all anger of the aroused. Who's saying it? The sovereign God. Okay, just like in Joel it was told, no? In my zeal and fiery wrath, I declare that at that time there shall be a great earthquake in the land of the fish will be terrified, birds will be terrified, beasts will be terrified, every creature that moves along the ground, and all the people on the face of the earth will tremble at my presence. It's an earthquake like never before. In Gujarat, you had before we came here an earthquake. My brother was there. You know, when we came to Ahmedabad, houses in buildings were on very low rent. We could have bought 3 BHK. That's it. Next door to where brother is staying now was on sale for 10 lakhs. Okay, no, less than that. Less than that. Taking what was 7 2006, 2006. Anyway, that earthquake only woke her up. I didn't wake up. I slept from 6, 7 years. Then the cultures went down. Okay. So that was a normal earthquake. Okay. We put fear in the hearts of everyone living in Gujarat. They sold their houses and went to bungalows. They gave their buildings for rent. Okay. Houses in buildings because they didn't want to go there. When we came there in our house also there was mark of the fan on the wall. Many houses we went to see for rent. They had huge cracks. People had not even bothered to repair. All they can so don't spend on it. Okay. Terrified. We have seen from our country, India. See the size of the rocks displaced by earthquakes. We don't see earthquakes properly, that is why we don't understand. Ezekiel 38. The mountains will be overturned, the cliffs will crumble, and every wall will fall to the ground. I will summon a sword against God on all my mountains, declares the sovereign God. Okay, so these guys are also on the mountains of Israel. Every man's sword will be against his brothers. That means they will start fighting. That coalition which has come, with this huge earthquake and disaster taking place, they will end up fighting and damaging each other as well. Okay. Habakkuk will be coming to this book later. He stood, who stood? The Lord. And should be we can't shake our table properly without spreading our back. And when he shakes, the earth shakes. He looked and made the nations tremble. The ancient mountains crumbled and the age-old hills collapsed. But he marches on forever. When the Lord returns, when he sets foot on the Mount of Olives, it is going to split. And after that, there is going to be plenty of access. Wherever the Lord is moving, what will happen? Quakes, destruction. Okay? Our Lord told in Matthew chapter 24. How you will know where he is? Where the vultures gather. Because there will be dead bodies everywhere. Okay? It is a day of punishment. Okay? He himself, that is why in Revelation chapter 19, when our Lord returns, he is clothed in white, seated on the horse, he is riding on a white horse. This is not the Antichrist horse of Revelation chapter 6. He is riding and his clothes are stained with blood. And it says that the blood flowed to the height of the bridle of the horse. The end of the war of Magog and his army. Ezekiel 38:22. I will execute judgment. It is he who is wicked. With plagues and bloodshed, I will pour down torrents of rain, hailstones and burning sulfur on him, and on this groups and on the many nations. Okay. Old Testament में पढ़ता है about God sending angels, people dying, Assyrians dying. You will see here also. Okay. The Bible tells it will be like that. Okay. On the mountains of Israel you will fall. You and all your troops and the nations with you. It's going to be a bloodbath for a whole bunch of people. Okay. I will give you a food to all kinds of carrion birds and to animals. You will fall in the open fields, for I have spoken, declares the sovereign God. I will give God a burial place in Israel, in the valley to the east of the sea. East of the sea is the which sea? नीचे कौन सा sea था? Dead Sea. Okay, because that is close to Jerusalem. East of that, I'm on God, that place will get us name. We have been naming many cities in our country, changing names which have either Islamic or some other connotation to the local this thing. But this valley will have a new name, I'm on God. The burial takes place over 7 months. Okay, so you lot of that there will be taking that. When will this battle take place? Ezekiel 39:25. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I will restore the fortunes of after. Okay. So following this war is what? The millennium. Okay, then the restoration. I will gather them. This will be one more gathering. They gathered now. They are still gathering. Okay, but this gathering will be like the harvest. The farmer gathers and then burns things. After separating the wheat and the chaff, that is what will happen. The judgment of nations will take place. Then the Lord will gather them again and he will live with them. Okay? I will no longer hide my face from them, for I will pour out my spirit. Remember, Joel also talked about it. I will pour out my spirit on the people of Israel, declares the sovereign Lord. The timing of this conflict is just prior to the renewal of Israel and its final restoration and the pouring of the spirit. Okay? The events may be connected to the sixth seal judgment. I'm sorry, this sixth vial that needs to be corrected. Where 3 frog-like demons go out and receive the things of the whole world and gather them for battle in Armageddon. Okay, so we will have to end with that because we have finished the time. So I will take one more study to finish this. Book of Joel. It's very important that we are connected with so far. We will finish it. Okay. And after that, Obadana, Jonah, Micah, start reading them. Very interesting. And we will learn a lot from those books. And take this as an opportunity, those 12 minor prophets to become thorough with it. Then it will become very easy for us when we study the Bible. New Testament is fulfillment of the picture which is given here. And when you have a kid's puzzle, the pieces are there in your hand. But on the cover of the puzzle book, the full picture will be there. You can have a look at it like that. Okay. So we will look at chapter 3 next time and we will finish at that time.